Shalom Israel, we're here live from Cuts from the Street International. I got the captains here with me. Guess what? We're going to give you a lot of great footage. We're here in Ian Boquet. We got incredible scenery from the Dead Sea. We've been throughout Tel Aviv. We've been to Jerusalem.
That's right.
We've been to Jericho. The IUIC International Prophets is on the move.
That's right.
Four corners, that's what we're giving you. Stay tuned. This is live from Cuts from the Street International.
Yes, sir.
Where you from though?
I'm from the A-Town. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, originally.
So here's the thing. Some of our people have the mindset that Israel isn't scattered into the four corners of the earth. But here we are.
Man, we everywhere. We everywhere. This is my hood. What you mean? Okay. We everywhere.
So you guys are from the city of Tel Aviv?
Yes,
How long you been living here?
like all my life.
All your life. So your fathers and your forefathers from here. What about you, Royal?
Fame.
Same thing? Okay. Now, are you guys Jewish? You're Jewish. What are you?
My father is Jewish, but my mother is an atheist.
And your mother's an atheist. Okay. And what about you? Your father's Jewish?
Yes, and also my mother.
And also your mother. Okay. I have one quick question for you guys. Okay. Now, you said that your mother is Jewish, or your father is Jewish, and your mother's what?
An atheist.
Natives. Okay, so let me ask you this. What tribe do you guys come from?
What do you mean? Like which country that our parents came from?
Yeah, what tribe does your parents come from?
Russia and Iraq.
Russia and Iraq? But is Russia, the tribes, Russia and Iraq in the Bible? Oh, because you said that you're Jewish. So that's what I was asking you. Remember, Jacob had 12 sons, okay? Benjamin, Levi, and Judah. So when you said that you're Jewish, the Jews had a particular tribe that they came from.
What do you mean by that?
So the descendants of Israel, their children will be given to another people, and they would mourn and wail. Read.
And there shall be no might in thine hand.
So there would be no power in their hand, okay? Now, if we went to maybe, let's say, verse 68, right, regarding the descendants of Israel, notice what Moses says here. Read.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Okay, so in the 68th verse, the prophet Moses says that the descendants of Israel will go into bondage on ships. Okay, read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So Moses is saying that the descendants of Israel would no longer see this land again because they would be migrated elsewhere on ships. Read.
And there
where they were taken to in bondage. Read.
You shall be sold unto your enemies.
So the children of Israel that Moses was talking to, he said, you're going to be taken to a far-off land, and you're going to be sold unto your enemies. Read.
For bondmen.
And men in slavery and bondage. Read.
And bondwomen.
Women in bondage and slavery. Read.
And no man shall buy you.
You see, and it says no man shall redeem you. So as we read through the Torah, right, these are the holy writings inspired by God. Who would you say this applies to in terms of a people?
I don't know. I'm saying I don't know.
Where can I go in the Torah to prove that you and the people of this land are the children of Israel?
It's quite a good question, I really wonder about it. It's a good question, yeah.
However, simply I'm a child of God is what I am.
Okay, understood. So in the land of Jerusalem, obviously it has a certain spiritual significance because this was known as the appointed land to the children of Israel, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So the people that dwelled in this land during the time of the Bible, the prophets, Jesus Christ, etc., how were they depicted when you read the Bible?
As human beings, I don't understand your question.
Okay. I'll give you a prime example. Remember that Jesus Christ, he was crucified on the cross, correct? Yes. In order for him to have been crucified on the cross, someone had to have seen him, right? They had to have taken him and they had to have nailed him to the cross, right? So he had to have a certain physical appearance, right? How does the Bible describe the physical appearance of Jesus Christ?
They don't go into grave detail. It talks about that he is Jewish, okay, and that there was no special thing about him. You wouldn't find him miraculous as a human in sight. Women would not be attracted to him in a sexual manner. He was a plain Jane kind of person, okay? Now, where a lot of people get confused is that Jesus Christ is fully God and fully man. Hey, the Son of God is of God. Hey, the Son of God is of God. Hey, the Son of God is of God.
Okay.
It is God made flesh in human form.
Right. So I would agree with you that the Son was sent down in human form in flesh. And fortunately, when we read in the book of Revelation, it provides a description of how Christ looked on the earth. I want to read this really quick. This is in Revelation chapter 1 and verse 1.
The revelation of Jesus Christ, which God gave unto him, to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass.
Okay, so this was John the Revelator speaking from the island of Patmos, okay? As you know, many of the apostles of God, they went through and suffered many persecutions. So as we read in the 10th verse of this, John the Revelator is about to foretell something that he sees on the island of Patmos. Read.
I was in the Spirit on the Lord's day, and heard behind me a great voice as of a trumpet, saying, I am Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, and what thou seest, write in a book.
So we understand that the Alpha and the Omega is making reference to Jesus Christ, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. John the Revelator hears the voice of Jesus the Christ, and Christ says, whatever you see, John the Revelator, write it in a book. It was noted in the Bible. Let's see what was written in verse 14.
His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So this is now the description of Jesus the Christ. It says, Christ's head and his hairs was white like wool, making reference to the texture of his hair, the appearance of his hair. Read.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire, and his feet like unto fine brass.
Now notice this. It said his feet were like unto fine brass. A person's foot, right? Like Hannah's foot. I don't know where Hannah went, but do you have a feet? Would you mind come? I want to be able to give a visual example. Yes. So Hannah has feet, right? If we look at Hannah's feet, we notice that the color of Hannah's feet is the exact same color as the rest of her body, right? All of her skin is the same throughout her body. That's a normal depiction of a person, right? So it says that Christ's feet was as the color of what?
And his feet like unto fine brass.
Right. So in terms of an image, right, this would be more along the lines of a brass or a bronzish color. Read.
As if.
So it says his skin color was as if, read.
They burned in a furnace.
Okay. So if you take anything and you burn it, what color would it turn?
Red.
King Solomon is a black man.
Yes.
And whatever is in the scripture, they are yea and authority.
Very good. So what is that? What does that let us?
I've learned something now, and I can always quote it that the book of King Solomon, chapter 1, verses 5, has already described how Solomon looked like.
Yes.
That Solomon is not a white man, or Solomon is not a brown person, he's a black man.
Yes.
Children of Israel, during the time of the Exodus, when Moses delivered the children of Israel out of Egypt, we're all familiar with that, right? That history. When they were in Egypt, what color were those people?
What color are you? We the same color.
Okay, what do you say?
I believe all colors.
Okay. So because there's archaeological proof and scriptural proof that says that like CJ just said, looks like us. So now CJ, my question to you is, how do they change to another complexion?
I mean, you gotta think about it. You know, our complexion combined every other complexion out here in this world. So, you know, thankful to our complexion in many ways. You know, with different races.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Anything you want to add?
Nope.
Okay, so if I were to take a piece of rice, or if I were to take a piece of bread, and I throw it into a furnace, the furnace is flaming hot. Are you saying that when I take out that piece of rice or bread, it's going to be red colored when I take it out of the furnace?
Well, it depends what you're burning. If you're burning gold, it's still going to look like gold.
Right, so I'll repeat the question again. If I were to take a piece of white rice or a piece of bread and I put it into a furnace that's blazing hot, upon the time of it being burned, I will know that it's burned if it's a particular color. What would that color be?
Yeah, it'd be black.
Okay. So it's saying in this verse what?
And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burned in a furnace.
So that's letting you know that Christ's skin color was what?
See, here's the thing. The book of Revelation is talking in metaphoric.
Okay, no problem. No problem. We'll go to another chapter. We can go to Daniel chapter 10 and verse 6. Maybe Revelation may be metaphorical, perhaps. Let's share with you the vision. Right after the Daniel the 10th chapter. Right after Daniel the 10th chapter. Because maybe what you're saying, it may correlate with the book of Daniel as well. Daniel chapter 10 and verse 6. And then after that, you got the floor. Daniel chapter 10 and verse 6.
His body also was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning.
So this is talking about Jesus the Christ. Read.
And his eyes as lamps of fire. And his arms and his feet like in color.
So it says Christ's arms and his feet was what?
Like in color.
Okay, so we're not speaking metaphorically here. This is providing, right, it's telling you it's his appearance is as the color.
Like in color to polished brass.
Okay, so that's the same thing now that the book of Revelation says. What are your thoughts on that?
Right. My thoughts is that Paul is depicting Jesus Christ in his renewed form. He is not depicting Jesus Christ as a human here on earth. This is a resurrected body of Christ, and he's trying to describe it just as it's described as heaven and streets of gold. Is it going to be literally streets of gold? We don't know, but he's describing the majesty, the glory of it, the magnificence of it, just as he's describing. It also says in Revelations that Jesus has 7 heads of lamb. He doesn't literally have 7 heads of a lamb, okay?
Verse 68. So this is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. Okay? That's right here. Read that verse.
Until where?
Just this passage right here.
Okay. And the Lord shall bring 3 into Egypt again with the ships.
Okay, so stop right there. If you know the history from being a youth, you remember what happened to the Jews, the Israelites? They came out of where the first time?
What? What?
Egypt, right? You remember when the Jews were in Egypt? Okay, so read it again and I'll explain for you. I just want you to be able to see it for yourself.
And the Lord shall bring 3 into Egypt again with ships. By the way, wherewith I speak into 3. You shall see it on more again.
So what that's going into is Moses is telling the children of Israel. Remember, Moses gave the children of Israel over 613 commandments. Remember that? Remember that history?
Yeah.
Okay. But one of the things that Moses was telling them when you read the book of Deuteronomy 28, 1 through 15, was the blessings if they kept God's laws. And from 15 to 68 was the curses if they broke God's laws. So one of the curses is that they would go into Egypt again by way of ships. Now, if we know history, since you guys were raised here and your fathers told you the history of the Jews, did your fathers come into Egypt again by way of ships?
No.
What about you?
No.
They didn't come by way of ships, right? But remember, we're reading Deuteronomy, and this is prophecy that this would happen to the Jews, the true children of Israel. So with that being said, so say that again?
I guess we're not the true children of Israel.
Ah, there you have it. There you.
When the children of Israel were in Egypt before the Exodus, what color were they?
It's a very good question. I imagine they were something between you and me, like quite maybe like pretty close to Bedouins, like that is between you and me.
Okay, so a darker complexion than you. Okay.
For sure, they were darker than the. Now you can see this what's called Ashkenazim that came from Europe, etc., etc. It's I imagine. And it's just my imagination, you know. I didn't serious research.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Pretty close to the desert people.
Okay. So what changed their complexion?
You mean this? Well, I imagine they mixed up with. Anyway, yeah, Jews that are coming from India look a bit like people from India. Jews coming from Europe, a bit like that. Jews coming from anywhere look a bit the land they are, you know. So naturally, there is plenty of mixing there. We're talking about 2,000 years. Now, this idea of you are Jewish according to the mother, God knows who is the father. Can be anybody, anywhere.
But Numbers chapter 1, verse 18 says that the lineage is chosen by the father, not the mother.
Maybe, I don't know about it.
Okay. In the Torah, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3, can you open that up real quick? Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them, marriages with them, thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his sons, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy sons, for they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy thee suddenly. In Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 3, the Lord goes into dealing with other nations, other nationalities. So he's talking to the children of Israel in the wilderness, and he warns them or gives them a commandment about dealing with the other nations, which were scattered among us. What do you say about that, CJ?
What I say about it? Also, dealing with, the Torah and any, Bible or religious. My thing is we all, pray to the same person with a different name. Everybody got their own, opinions and beliefs, and I respect each and every one for their opinions and beliefs. But also, you got barriers that can be broken. You can break barriers within any of those books. You can break barriers, and you can teach that child the same way we was taught growing up, and also going out there researching for yourself and learning stuff. Also, it's gonna make a change in the world. Okay. So it's all about the good intentions. Okay.
I just said, of course, I agree about that, and it's all about do what make you happy and change the world.
Would you say that it applies to the Israeli that's in Jerusalem today?
I think it applies. I don't think that everyone who's here is just considered Israeli. It's like whoever's this is our land. I'm from London. I moved here.
Right.
This is I wasn't born here, but this is still my land.
Okay.
So it doesn't mean that you have to be born here for it to be your land.
Well, I mean, when we read about the term Israelite, right? Israelite means, ITE means the descendant of, right? So that means in order to be an Israelite, you have to descend from Jacob, also known as Israel, correct? So for the people that are living in the homeland of Israel today, would you say that they fit the description of what Moses was talking about? Okay, who? Whom? Could you give me an example?
I'm not God, honestly. I don't know. I think that it applies to people who this city is the holiest city for all the religions.
Okay. So Moses was instructed by God to put his hand into his chest area, right?
And he put his hand into his bosom, and when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous as snow.
Okay, so this was part of a miracle. So what God is telling Moses is, put your hand in your bosom, and when you take it out of your bosom, the color of your hand is going to change. That was a part of the miracle. It was not originally that color. He was saying, if you want to see a miracle, put your hand in. It's going to change to this color, right? Read.
And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again to his other flesh.
Okay, so if it was changed to white at this time during this miraculous act from God, right, where it was made leprous, in fact, the scriptures note, what was the color of Moses' skin prior to him putting his hand in his bosom?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Okay, so I give you an example, like many of our Israeli brothers and sisters, right? If Moses had that description and they had put their hand in their bosom, would it have been very miraculous of God to do that, given that their skin was already that color?
No.
What would have been more miraculous for a person to change from one color to another color?
If it was a different color.
Namely what? What would you think would be more miraculous? If for a person to be turned white to be miracle, right? That means it would have to be the opposite of something else, right? So what would be more miraculous there?
I don't want to offend, say the wrong thing.
You don't want to say the wrong thing. Okay.
So the white Anglo-Saxons in America, I go after them any chance I get.
But only in America? Real quick, let's read a scripture for you. Deacon, do you mind?
No, hold on. Just not in America, all over, but that's my prime focus. Like, think about it. I'm from Atlanta. So who's the people who lynched my ancestors, who locked me up, who I have to go toe-to-toe with? I have to deal with the Klan. That's my main focus. Anything other than that, I mean, I can deal with later, you know?
Okay. All right, let's read a quick scripture for you. Can we get Revelation 2:9? Revelation 2:9. Because you might even be familiar with this, but those who are in the Americas, who we know are the enemies, who have put us in slavery, so on and so forth, aren't they the same people in this land? No. They're not the same people. Okay, all right.
Revelation chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
So now, the Bible says there are those who've been walking the earth claiming to be Jews, but are not. The Bible says they are the synagogue of Satan, meaning the devil themselves. So what people on the earth, since as far back as you can remember, have been claiming to be Jews?
A lot of the Eastern European religious Ashkenazim.
Okay. So the Bible says that they're the devil.
Yes, it says it's in English, yeah.
On your mission here is that you're trying to, in this particular example, you're trying to look through the eyes of Paul, the Apostle Paul.
Well, no, actually, when we were quoting from Revelations, that was from John the Revelator. When we were in the book of Daniel, that was one of the visions that Daniel received. Here in the Gospels, right, as we're looking at the account of the Gospels through St. Matthew, we're finding out about the life of Christ, who himself lived in the land of Israel. Let's listen to this.
Matthew 2:13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream.
Okay, so Joseph was the father of Jesus Christ, read.
Saying, arise and take the young child and his mother and flee into Egypt.
Okay, so we both know that Egypt, which actually borders this land, Egypt is in Africa, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so when the angel is telling Joseph to take your young son, Jesus the Christ, because Herod wanted to kill him, correct? Herod had came to the land and said, oh, every child 2 years old and under, kill them all. So the angel, in order to give deliverance and mercy to Christ, says, take the young child and flee into Egypt. So if Jesus was instructed through his father, Joseph, by the angel, to flee and migrate into Africa to hide from Herod, what would Jesus have to have look like in order for him to camouflage himself in an African continent?
Okay. So
if you hid in Africa, do you think that you would be able to hide very well amongst Africans?
if I was unclothed, no.
And why is that?
Because I'm white.
Okay. So when it came to Jesus, how could he camouflage himself in an African continent?
You don't have to be around other Africans in order to camouflage yourself. If you go to a place where there is no one,
No one lived in that land of Africa?
but I could go and hide in a forest and people aren't going to find me.
Name something that's hard to do with your eyes open. Read.
This nigga dumb.
Bruh. It's not like there's millions of people back in Jesus' time, and Africa is what it is today. Even where the border of Egypt is, I'd have to look at that to see where it was then.
Okay, so we can give another example. How about Paul the Apostle in the book of Acts? Well, that's actually what the Bible is trying to say, which is the reason why the angel would have told him to migrate into Africa. I think it's pretty common sense, right? Like, we're staying in this land, and it's pretty hot. It's about 80s, 90s degrees. The land here kind of denotes that you kind of have to have a certain melanated skin tone in order to really even thrive in this land. However, when the angel told Joseph to hide to Egypt, well, why didn't the angel tell Joseph, go and hide in Rome? Why not hide in Greece?
Who gave birth to Jesus?
Mary.
Mary Jewish.
Yes, Mary was an Israelite.
So how is it that Jesus would be black?
Because the Israelites are black. That's what we're here. That's the history that we have. Oh yeah. We're going to read the Bible. That's what we're here to do.
You said he's Jewish, right? Correct. Where in the Bible could we read to give the ethnicity and the color description? Like he gave several regarding color. Could you show us where Jesus and or any of the prophets are Caucasian?
I don't have to. I know that they're Jewish.
Or let's say you have a child? I have a kid. Okay, I have a kid. They say, Dad, can you show me where is it? Like here, you see the images on the paintings there? You see Caucasian. Even back there's a Jesus painting. Kids say, well, where can I read about that image in here? So now that's my question to you. Where can I read those images in here?
He's Jewish.
Take your word for it. No.
It's common sense that if you were born of a Jew, you're Jewish.
Like King Solomon, right? King Solomon?
I don't know what reference you bring.
Okay, watch this. King Solomon was a great... Wait, let me ask you a question. King Solomon was a great descendant of Christ, right? Okay.
My biblical knowledge is only so much. I don't know the Bible inside and out.
Wait a minute. This isn't my world. Disappointed!
Then tell me, what does kushi baba mean?
Oh, it's bad. It's not a good word, okay? It's really not a good word. It's a restless word.
But
It's a Negro, okay? It's a Negro. We don't use it every time. But in Israel, you will see Russian, they will say Iraqi, Temani, because we come from around the world.
so if
But not taking like restless, you know? We're just talking.
well, if we're all living together and all unified, you see every people, then they wouldn't have that word, right?
No, but the first one who used the word is the black man. After that's the white one. Here in Israel at least, okay?
If you remember the scripture that Jerusalem will be the capital city of Israel.
Yes, sir. So in order for us to be able to regain the Holy Land of Israel, in order for the kingdom to be restored, what must we do as servants of the Lord? Do you know?
We must obey Itatu and obey without any underscore.
Would Itatu be known as God's commandments? I'm not sure if this is a translation of that word.
Well, we must obey to the fullest without removing anything. All these commandments must be well lettered in our heart and must be spirit-filled.
You know English? So, you know English? Okay, so what does this mean? Just help me out here, in case I'm mistaken. In Song of Solomon, chapter, if I can just find, here we go. Solomon is a Jew. Yeah, Solomon was a Jew, and he says something here that we were confused about. It says, here, The Song of Songs, which is Solomon's. We jump down here in verse 5. It says, what?
I am black, but comely. O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon.
So what does that mean? When he says,
Means that he's evil.
it means he's evil.
He's talking metaphorically. He's not talking about his physical tone.
He's not?
See, because if I'm caught up in sin, I could say, they got dark and light. Okay, it's a contrast between speaking again
So
metaphorically.
black means sin? Do you have another reference that proves that black means sin?
No, it doesn't mean sin. He's speaking metaphorically here about himself. If I have hatred towards someone, I can say that my heart is black. It's not physically black, okay? But light and darkness is quite contrast between good and evil, etc., like that. It has nothing to do with people's skin tone color.
Job chapter 30, verse 30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat.
So that's not skin?
I don't know this particular verse and what it's referencing, but I can tell you this, is that it's not referring to, just as I said, my heart is black. No, can I not say that my heart is black?
You can say that.
Exactly. Does that mean my heart is black?
But watch this. Oh, I know what you're saying. The reference to sin in the Bible is not black. I'm going to show you what it is. I'm going to show you what it is. Watch this. No, come on, Chuck, come on. Question, I'll answer yours.
No, I don't think I want him to photo me.
Okay, he'll photo my back.
Okay, no.
We went down there,
Yeah.
and we see a lot of images
Yeah.
of Jews
Yeah.
that look like you.
Yeah,
beautiful like
images.
you.
You mean images? You mean people? You
Paintings.
mean Jewish?
Paintings.
Where they're in the Cardo?
Yes.
Yeah.
there. Now, I was curious, where in the Bible?
Why is he?
He likes my ears.
Oh, right.
Where in the Bible or Torah Tanakh can I find the description of the Jews like yourself? What scripture could I reference? That's my only question. I'm just
What do
curious.
you mean? People change. People change from
black to white?
From when they were to who they are.
So you mean
now.
like
So
this?
How would I find people like me in the Torah when people are so changed?
Okay, let me show you this. You've read Song of Solomon, right? Oh, you heard of Job? The prophet Job. Look what he says here in Job 30, verse 30. Okay, look. I want you to make sure I'm not making it up. It says, my skin is black upon me.
Bathsheba was black.
Yeah, oh, so you know that.
Yeah.
So then how did it get white in the paintings and things? I'm curious.
How did it get white in the paintings?
In paintings
oh, okay.
all over.
I didn't notice that they were all white.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were white.
But when you watch the programs about history, they do have black people portraying.
They always got us in the background.
Yeah.
They got us way in the back carrying fruit.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Well, maybe history depicted it.
Yeah.
The black people in that way.
Right. They
But
depict
now
us carrying
things are more equal, thank God.
Okay,
and it's nice to see you here.
I'm glad to
very
be
glad
here.
to meet you.
But you didn't answer my question.
No.
Where in the Bible can I read the change
I
of...
don't know the Bible very
You don't know?
well. I
But
really
you're in
don't read it very
Jerusalem.
well. Yeah, I'm in Jerusalem and I've started to read every Shabbat. But I'm not a very religious person.
Well, I would like you to start reading more.
Yeah, okay.
And then when I come back through here, you give me the scripture.
All right.
Okay.
The scripture that
says they changed from black to white.
Oh, that they changed.
What's your name?
Sarah. What's your
Sarah,
name?
I'm Nathaniel.
What's your name?
Nathaniel.
Nathaniel. Have a good stay.
Thank you. It's so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Good stay too.
Shalom. This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.